None of that. So, and they said they're actually going to stop selling knives temporarily instead. Yes, that's right. Um, a crazed Muslim jihadi nut job kills two of IKEA's customers, and IKEA blames the knife. The knife
Well,
display in their own store.
maybe we should have a knife-free zone.
And there is also a huge increase in trying to protect the migrants because racist white people might try to retaliate.
Wow.
According to the article in Sweden, immediately after the attack by the newly arrived migrants who shared a room in a government asylum shelter and had only arrived in the country less than 4 weeks before, Swedish police rushed to protect the migrant communities from dark forces in society. Quote unquote, dark forces in society. Local police across the region have been tasked with taking these measures to be there for safety purposes for everyone there, those who
So let
work
me
there and those who live there.
so let me get this straight. Uh, an illegal migrant
Mhm.
comes into the country.
Yes.
He's about to be deported. He goes into an IKEA. He picks up knives off of the display, kills a woman and her son, and beheads her. And the
Yes.
response is, we're going to quit selling knives. And the response by the police is, we're going to protect the migrants from dark uh, social forces when it was a
Yes.
migrant who did this.
Yes. IKEA itself has now joined in with the it says Vasteras store manager telling local media that knives will be removed from shelves, a temporary move the chain presumably hopes will neuter the desire some in society feel to murder strangers.
Well,
After
yeah,
the
because
stabbing on
if IKEA takes the knives out of the store, that will remove the desire for anyone to do any bad thing.
Well, absolutely.
That
And
makes
after well, in England they've had them turn their long knives in just in case someone because those two Muslim guys beheaded that soldier on the
yeah,
street.
yes.
So after the stabbing on Monday, the store reopened this morning. News agency AFP reported Swedish police have been tight-lipped over what precisely happened in the store and have refused to confirm various claims in the local and global media, from the identity of the victims and perpetrators to the exact nature of the murder weapons, to whether it was a beheading. There are unconfirmed suggestions in the fringe press that the killer shouted Allah Akbar as he struck. So to recap, it's not Muslim extremists who are the problem. It's those evil looking knives that make people want to kill each other. And by that measure, I should throw away my steak knives because I might want to stab someone with them. Never mind that I've only ever used them in cooking, and killing someone goes against every moral standard that I possess. Well, and that makes perfect sense. And if we're going to be really good socialists that we all know them to be in Sweden, they should immediately ask for a $25 or kroner, I guess, per blade sales tax once they go back on sale. Yes, and throw in an extra buck per whetstone tax. Hey, it's working so
Yeah,
well in Seattle, you know.
that's right. That makes perfect sense. That will solve the
Oh,
problem. See,
well, yes.
this is typical. We have this knee jerk reaction from leftists who decide that the best way to solve the problem is to penalize everyone,
Right,
not the
right.
ones who are doing the wrong thing. Let's not keep an eye on anybody because that would be profiling. Let's not deal with the issue of illegals. Let's punish everyone and make everyone pay for
Hmm.
what one criminal did.
Right,
Wow.
right.
Now, um, here we are in the summer. There's lots of cookouts and parties and things like that. There's a party going on tonight in Martha's Vineyard.
There is a big party going on tonight in Martha's Vineyard, and I
Were
would love to be the fly on the wall tonight at that big
were
party on Martha's
were
Vineyard.
were you not invited?
I wasn't. I did not get my invitation, although I'm sure it's just a matter of it being lost in the mail because I'm usually invited to these big soirees.
Yeah, my invitation probably arrived at my home in Arkansas, and I'm down here in Guyana, so that's probably why I didn't get it. But there were some people that got it who are going to be there.
Well, the Obamas and the Clintons, well, at least I know that he and she, in other words, Barack and Hill, will both be attending. And don't you wonder what the conversation over the canapes will sound like?
Well, yeah, as a matter of fact, I do. Um, now, this party is going on at the home of Vernon Jordan,
Yes, that's
and
correct.
Jordan finances leftist causes. He worked in the Clinton
Hmm.
White House,
That's right.
and
That's exactly right.
so.
He's 80
Uh,
years old. This is his 80th birthday party.
oh, okay, okay.
Hmm.
So the way a good leftist would do that is he invites the president, and he invites, particularly if they're a Democrat, and he invites
Yes.
the supposed front runner, although that may not be
Well,
true.
it's also the former first lady
That's
for
correct.
whose administration that you worked.
That's
So,
correct. That's
yes.
correct.
Hmm.
So so they're having this party, and wow, that's going to be, what's the word? Awkward.
A little uncomfortable, just a little bit.
I would
Well, according to the
you know
the folks at Politico, the president and his former Secretary of State, that would be Barack and Hillary, have not met in person since March.
wow,
Yes, so it's going to
wow.
be very interesting to, be rubbing shoulders over the cocktail weenies and and saying, "Oh, how you doing? How are you? Hey, have you endorsed me yet?"
Yeah. What do you think Joe's going to do? Uh,
Yeah.
you know,
Mhm.
do you think he's likely to run? I mean, I'd have to ask those questions.
I
Uh,
know. Yeah.
and
How about laying off that whole FBI server thing, Barack old buddy? How about that?
yeah, yeah, yeah. Would you
That's what I'd
can
be
would you
saying over my ginger ale.
would you campaign for me? Uh,
Yeah.
that'd be nice. How about that? Now here's the thing. You mentioned the server.
Mhm.
Well. That's interesting because this week the FBI picked up Hillary Clinton's server.
They did
She
indeed.
she made a big show of saying that she turned it over to the FBI. I actually think that probably what happened was they said, "We're going to get the server. Do you want us to raid your house, or do you want to turn it over?"
I think that's exactly what they said.
And being the political animal that she is, and I don't say that, I'm not calling her an animal. I'm just saying, being the political being that she is, she
Correct.
decided that it would be better to make it sound like she turned it over rather than them coming and beating the door down and taking the server away. Imagine what that would
It
have looked
doesn't
like.
look good when 15, police cars and 3 or 4 of those big black SUVs pull up at your house and they bring a battering ram
Yeah, and
and they
and and
pound
it's
your door down.
and it happens to be the home of
Especially
the former president.
Yeah, especially when you're running for president yourself. It just doesn't look good.
I,
It
I
just
read I read an article this last week that that said that this is the first time in U.S. history that a candidate is under investigation by the FBI while they're running for president.
Well, that is fascinating. Now, I saw today that the State Department does not intend to search Hillary's server. They will not attempt to search the private server that she turned over to the Justice Department on Wednesday. According to their court documents, they said that the department is not currently working with the Department of Justice, the FBI, or other government agencies to search former Secretary Clinton's private email server for records related to high-profile Freedom of Information Act case. Instead, they said their search of the personal and emails submitted by 2 of Clinton's top aides and several agency databases for relevant records was sufficient.
Hmm.
Hmm.
Now that's interesting. Now it appears that the server was pretty well wiped clean.
Well, actually, what the server that was given to Justice this week contains no data from her time as Secretary of State. The emails it once contained were apparently migrated onto another device, which has not yet been identified, back in 2013.
Now, but the thumb drives that the attorney was holding evidently were backups of that server. That's what I've read.
David Kendall surrendered
Yes.
3 thumb drives. Her attorney surrendered 3 thumb drives to the Justice Department on August 6th, according to filings in the FOIA case, the Freedom of Information Act case, brought by Judicial Watch. And some of those were, I believe, the emails that we played last week that Judge Napolitano referred to.
Yes, yes. And here's the thing. What you want to bet that wherever that information from that server was migrated to, that server now has been wiped clean and it's been migrated somewhere else.
Oh, I would bet you're exactly right. I wouldn't take that bet for love nor money because I think I'd lose. Yes, absolutely. I'm sure that one's probably sitting at the bottom of the Potomac, and little fishies are probably swimming through it at this point.
Well, it's going to be interesting to see how this plays out. I believe that this story has a lot more legs than what she's professing. Mm-hmm. And so, we'll see. We're going to take our break. We're coming up on the top of the hour, so we're going to take our next break here. Coming up next, boy, we're going to talk about a history of Planned Parenthood, big and serious questions about its future and
How many of you know the 16 words in President Bush's State of the Union address that led us to war? How many know my wife's name? Now, how can you know one and not the other? When did the question move from why are we going to war to who is this man's wife? I asked the first question, but somebody else asked the second, and it worked. Because none of us know the truth. The offense that was committed was not committed against me. It was not committed against my wife. It was committed against you, all of you. So if that makes you angry or feel misrepresented, do something about it. When Benjamin Franklin left Independence Hall just after the second drafting, he was approached by a woman on the street. The woman said, "Mr. Franklin, what manner of government have you bequeathed us?" And Franklin said, "A republic, madam, if you can keep it. The responsibility of a country is not in the hands of a privileged few. We are strong and we are free from tyranny as long as each one of us remembers his or her duty as a citizen. Whether it's to report a pothole at the top of your street or lies in a State of the Union address, speak out, ask those questions, demand that truth. Democracy is not a free ride, man, I'm here to tell you. But this is where we live. And if we do our job, this is where our children will live. God bless you.
I'm John DeMay, and I approve this message.
Since the beginning of the 21st century, the American people have had their freedoms and liberties slowly taken away from them. Americans can no longer speak freely in public, nor can they protest peacefully without fear of arrest or bodily harm done to them by the very people they elected into office. It's time to elect a person that will fight for the Constitution and not against it. That person is John DeMay Jr. As president, John DeMay will restore America's freedoms and liberties to the American people. He will nullify any executive order, any law that is unconstitutional, and bring power back to the states. This presidential election, vote for John DeMay Jr. A vote for DeMay is a vote for our Constitution. John DeMay Jr., restoring the Constitution to the American people. Paid for by the campaign to elect John DeMay Jr. for president 2016.
Hey guys, it's Mike the Lionheart Ryan here. Did you know that the odds of your child growing up with autism are now 1 in 68? Please help support the fight against autism by going to talkforautism.com and donate today. All proceeds will go to the National Autism Association.